I was raised in a very conservative church. Abortions were bad, divorce was unheard of, and infidelity was evil. My ex had an affair with my cousin. When I found out from a note he left for me on the counter. When I texted him, I also found his note. He didn't call me back, my dad did. My dad told me that my cousin was pregnant, and my family wanted the baby. My dad told me to pack my clothes and leave. Out of pure shock, I went to ask some questions. My dad told me to just leave. I did. I was beyond shattered. I lived in my car for 2 weeks. I work for a 24-hour gym, and I could go in and shower and do my shift, then repeat. My parents, my ex, no one tried to contact me. The end of 2 weeks, my dad showed up in the middle of my shift demanding I sign the divorce papers. My ex got everything since the baby needed it. My dad was completely heartless. I snapped. I left work, found an attorney. I gave him a copy of what I signed. I told him to do whatever he had to finish the divorce. I went back to work and asked my boss for my final paycheck. My boss likes me and let me know they have other locations. I chose one out of state. I changed my cell phone, then I left. About 5 days later, I found out I was pregnant. I had a birth control shot that lasts 3 months. I was even more heartbroken. I figured the pregnancy would end up in a miscarriage, so I kept it to myself. The attorney reached out to me. He sent me an email with a copy of my divorce. He also told me my parents showed up. My dad said my cousin lied. She was not pregnant. My ex left her, and they all wanted to talk to me. I kept no contact. My main focus has been making sure I had somewhere to live. I now have a 2-bedroom apartment. I've rebuilt my life and soon-to-be baby's life on my own. My best friend is getting married in a couple of weeks. She is also part of the church we grew up in. She wants me to be her maid of honor. I told her that I didn't want to see my parents or ex's family. She has offered to pay for extra security. She said that I just need to stand by her during the vow ceremony. I can come last Monday and leave before the rehearsal. I'm now 7 months pregnant. I haven't spoken to my ex or my parents about the baby. I'm torn. I want to be there for my friend. Should I keep the no contact or be there for my lifelong friend? Things have been super stressful, but good. My BFF sent me a video. My ex and my grandma came over to my BFF's parents' house, since BFF is home until her wedding. My family assumed I would be there too. The security cameras caught the conversation. Grandma: I'm looking for OP. We need to make things right for ex-family. BFF's mom: I'm sorry, but we haven't seen her. Grandma: I know she had to go somewhere when she left her apartment. She had no money. BFF's mom: Feel free to come in and look around. Grandma: How long did she stay here for then? BFF's mom: She never stayed here. I only know about her divorce because ex-fiancé came by looking for her before. Grandma: If you see OP, tell her it's my fault I told her dad to kick her out and file for divorce. I thought it was best for our family. We owe ex's family since cousin lied and caused problems. OP needs to set herself aside and support our family right now. That's it in a nutshell. I feel like a tool. They keep using me whenever it suits their wants. As far as things with the baby, I have everything I need. I applied for family leave at work. I will get 12 months. I plan on working up until baby arrives, then using that time once baby is here. Most of the daycares won't take baby unless they are 3 months old. I know I can do it. It's all new for me. Update. When I ghosted my family, I deleted my social media accounts. The only thing I have is an old email I used to keep in contact with my best friend. I received multiple emails today. One from my friend telling me the police showed up, letting me know she gave them my email. An email from the police themselves asking me to come in. They have to see me in person to answer their questions, to make sure I'm okay. The last was from my family. The police gave them my email. It was a hard break. I don't want to have to move and go through this all over again. Has anyone else been through this? My friend already explained that I went no contact, yet the police gave them my email. I'm worried about giving them any more information. My family showed up when my attorney went to the police station. My dad did most of the talking to my attorney in front of the police. We are deeply concerned. OP is a very kind person. She always checks in on us and helps with grandma. Since her divorce, she hasn't spoken to anyone in the family. We made a mistake pushing her to divorce ex, and now we're so worried she is so distraught she will hurt herself. We understand we made a mistake. We want her to come back. My attorney replied, OP left an aggressive situation. She has chosen to go no contact. Leave her alone. My mom replied, This isn't like her at all. What are we supposed to say to her ex? My attorney said he didn't answer her question. The police officer just told him I have to be seen in person by a police officer. So I'm going after work to a random police station. This morning I got a call from my PI. I was kind of surprised since my divorce is finalized. That's why I hired him. I needed protection. He wanted to see why my parents were protecting ex-husband. He found out my dad is not my dad. My bio dad died when I was 8 months old in a jet ski accident. He also found out that the home I grew up in belongs to a trust in my name. My paternal grandmother is the executor. Each month, my mom had to pay $200 for rent, and the trust would pay her $1,200 for child support payments. The payments are supposed to stop when I turn 28 or move out. I moved out, but my mom didn't notify my grandmother. I ended up calling my grandmother, who just cried and cried. She said that my mom didn't want to traumatize me and tell me about my dad while I was a child. My mom would send pictures but wouldn't allow visits. Grandma said she was afraid I wouldn't want to speak to her. We're meeting up for lunch tomorrow. She is traveling to where I am. She said she has baby pictures of me and my dad. I'm so upset. I haven't lived at home for years. Should I ask my grandma to evict my mom? I feel so violated. I met with my grandma. She seems very sweet. I tried to ask her questions about her or my dad. I didn't want her to think I only care about the money. I don't. I'm just so confused. That being said, there is a lot more to this than I knew. Grandma and I decided to work together, and Mom, Stepdad, and fake grandmother are getting a 30-day notice, along with no more money from the trust. Grandma said that the trust is mine to use as I need it. Grandma decided to stay after the baby is born. She asked if she could talk to a real estate agent and see what's available in my area. She said no pressure, but she would feel more comfortable with me in a 3 or 4 bedroom home, so her great-grandbaby can have a yard to play in. The house will be in my name as a gift from the trust, since I didn't receive birthday gifts over the years, and that's allotted in the guidelines. Update 2. My original plan was to try and care for my son alone. He was born early last week with a couple of health issues. Good news is, he should be able to live a normal, healthy life. Bad news, he will need to have surgeries this upcoming year. Tying my hands. I will need to collect child support to help cover his medical bills. I found an attorney and handed over all the emails, texts, and letters ex-husband left on the counter. The attorney said that he thinks I will get full custody, especially since the specialist wrote a note saying my son needs to be fed by me as part of his medical treatment, since he is aspirating formula right now. I am beyond nervous. The attorney said I should expect ex-husband to reach out and want to meet with me and my son. He also said it's appropriate to limit visitors since my son's immune system is low, meaning I can tell my ex-husband just him if he wants to see him. I am so nervous giving ex-husband my cell phone number. I know it has to be done. I know I need to co-parent. I know I have to go to court. I just don't trust him anymore. Any advice? My attorney said he will send the papers tomorrow. Grandma knows she had to go back to my home state. She's coming back in 3 weeks. I don't know when my ex will want to come. If he comes now, my son is in the NICU. We can meet there. The doctors are talking about sending him home with an oxygen monitor. If it's after he comes home, then I will ask my attorney to use a conference room. I'm worried my son will get sicker if we go to a restaurant or public place. I'm worried about my ex being angry, that A, he didn't know, B, his family can't meet him, C, I don't want to have anything else to do with him, D, I don't want to talk about what happened. I know I don't want him at my place. Sorry if this is all over the place. My mind is on overdrive. My ex was given the option to sign an affidavit saying he was the father of my son. My attorney said that within 20 minutes of my ex getting the paperwork, my ex emailed a copy of the notarized papers. He acknowledged he was the father. He won't need to do a DNA, even though we can if anyone asks. My attorney also said that my ex took emergency leave and is on his way here, that my ex was crying on the phone. I knew this was a possibility, him coming, but I started to panic. My ex arrived just after midnight. My attorney said that he left a message at his office to please call him back. My attorney called him early this morning. My ex gave him the original of the affidavit he signed. Then they called me. I'm currently staying in a room the nurses set up for me in the hospital. Anyhow, they came to the hospital around 8 a.m. I had to go down and get my ex. It was very awkward. I could tell he hasn't slept. He has lost weight. I just looked at him and said, "Are you ready?" Then turned to leave. He just followed behind me. Once in the elevator, he started asking questions. Ex, when did you find out? Me, right after you forced me out of my home. Him, why didn't you tell me? Me, I didn't feel safe after you forced me out of my home along with you blocked me. Him, why are you walking or standing like that? Me, an emergency C-section tends to hurt. Him, I could see the discomfort in his face. He was dead silent. We go into the room before the NICU. I start getting ready. The nurse A is helping my ex, along with reminding me how important nursing is to my son and how stress lowers milk supply. I love the nurses. X was hanging on every single word. I handed X a diaper and wipes. Nurse B opens his incubator while explaining the wires and tubes, reminding me to drink and again no stress. I snapped a couple of pictures as he finishes changing him. Nurse B hands me my son and I start to feed him. My ex just sat there crying. He normally isn't emotional, but he has been since he found out. I burped my little man, then handed him to my ex. I took a couple of pictures while he tried to rock him. The pics I'm putting in a baby book for my son. After 20 minutes or so, X's phone kept ringing nonstop. It was his grandma. He eventually answered it. Him. Is this an emergency? I told you not to bother me unless it's an emergency. Then he hung up and turned his phone off. X asked the nurses a million questions about the baby's health, even about my health. The nurse was kind, but replied, I'm not her nurse. Then it was time to let our little man rest. We walked out, and I gave him the parent app I'm using. It took a few minutes to figure it out on his phone. Mid-sentence, he got emotional again. He forgot to take a picture. I sent him one I took while he was rocking the baby. I pointed to the elevator and asked if he knew the way out. He sighed and asked if I would go get food with him. He wants to talk about us and fix us. I said I needed to sleep. Then I walked away. When I came out of my room, my ex was sleeping in a waiting room next to the NICU. In the past, when his family called, he would drop everything. It surprised me he didn't today. I'm wondering if he is planning on coming back inside when I need to feed my son again. Or is he waiting to talk to me? Although I can tell he is holding back some, I think it's because the nurses kept saying no stress. Last update to my crazy long day. My cheating ex stayed at the hospital all day. His family didn't stop calling. His grandma is super angry over the birth video announcement. It shows my little man's name. She called my ex. Quote from Grandma, I'm fit to be tied. In 8 generations, the oldest son always has Z as their first name. Tell Mud baby's name needs to be changed right now. My guess is she hasn't let the last week sink in yet. X has tried multiple times to have a let's talk about us talk. I told him there is no us. We are just co-parents. He offered to do counseling. I didn't reply since little man was not happy I wasn't feeding him fast enough. Once I was done burping him and doing a baby burrito, X was asked to leave the hospital by the nurses since they were getting ready to do shift change. Tonight was the busiest I've seen the NICU. X was gone around an hour when the doctors came in. Check little man. I finished and passed the classes they wanted me to take. If he has an ALTE event, they decided to release little man. I asked the doctors for an hour, called a friend to come get me. I took home the stuff I had at the hospital and came back with his clothes and his car seat. I took a few pictures of him dressed in his going home clothes and in his car seat. I messaged cheating ex, told him not to go to the hospital tomorrow since they discharged little man tonight. I sent him the pictures of him. He wants to know when he can see the baby again. I have to ask my attorney when he can come in. I told him I would message him tomorrow when little man and I wake up to set a time, since I'm very tired tonight. His reply, you know I love you, right? Not just because of little man. I love you for you. I screwed up. I didn't reply. I decided to vent here first. I posted a pregnancy video as an announcement on our church's social media page. I heard from cousin's mom via private messenger. Fake aunt. Mud, how could you post this video? Cousin X. X has been really struggling to come to church after cheating X left her. It's ruined her life. Take it down. Today's meeting was interesting. Cheating X came and asked me to go to counseling with him, to work on us. I told him there is no us. His reply, even if there is no us, you should at least give me the closure I need. My reply, acting confused, I don't understand what you mean. I am doing exactly what you did to me months ago and not talk about it. Just move on, right? I didn't say it mean, just matter of fact. He was quiet for a while and the focus turned back to little man. Going over his doctor appointments on Monday, lo and behold, X's mother-in-law FaceTime comes in. He answers and shows her little man and explains the oxygen monitor taped to his foot. She oohs and ahhed over him for a while, then started to press why X was not in my apartment. Then proceeded to tell me how I need to be more Christian and forgive. Since I'm not forgiving, I am unchristian. Then she continued, I need to let X stay with me and take care of little man. X just looked at me with a smirk. I replied, I am following Christ. My home is my temple. You really need to read John 2:13 through to 16. My ex-mother-in-law got quiet, and my ex-father-in-law started to laugh uncontrollably. In case you didn't know, it's a story where Christ gets angry and takes a whip and drives the merchants out of the temple for defiling it. He doesn't let them back in. Then I got to speak to my ex-father-in-law. He told me he was going to use that next time someone claims he is unchristian. Then he asked what I needed for myself and the baby. He apologized. It sounded more sincere. He told me X's living situation while he is in Texas is a family problem, not mine. I showed him little man again and started talking about his upcoming surgery a little more. Why traveling and guests were not good for him. My father-in-law told me he completely understood and would make the same decision. He volunteered to find someone to come give little man a blessing before surgery. I told him I would think about it. Before little man and I left, I told X he could see little man at the next doctor's appointment. I needed a couple of days to rest. I'm physically drained and emotionally drained. Each step is painful. I stopped taking pain medicine. I didn't want little man's meds and mine to clash. X didn't take it well. I could tell he was mad, but said okay. I have everything video recorded. I hope this visit doesn't bite me in the end, telling him no to this weekend visit. He wants to get back together. He has been messaging me nonstop in the parenting app we are using. In all fairness to him, when he realized my cousin wasn't pregnant, he went to my divorce attorney asking to reconcile then. I was and am super hurt, so I said no, and it's been that way. So what should I do? Should I give him a chance? He is the father of my child.